Hi guys, welcome to my video all about the greenhouse effect. So the aim of this video is to inform you of two things. Firstly, to introduce you to what the greenhouse effect is, and secondly, to show you what has happened in terms of the greenhouse effect as a direct result of some of the human activities that are going on in our planet. So it's firstly really important to point out that the greenhouse effect is naturally occurring. It's always been there, and it's what helps to keep our Earth's temperature balanced. So firstly, we'll go through how the greenhouse effect works, and then we're going to look at human activities' impact on the greenhouse effect. So let's get started. In the middle here, we've got our Earth. Surrounding our Earth around the outside here is our atmosphere. Coming out further is the sun. So you will have heard people talking about greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases are naturally occurring and they're found in our atmosphere. Now, the main greenhouse gases that we're going to be talking about today are CO2, which is carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, ozone, and water vapour. Now, carbon dioxide, or CO2, is released as a result of burning fossil fuels. So fossil fuels are things like petrol or petroleum, and as well as coal. So burning both of those products releases CO2 into the atmosphere. It's interesting to note as well that as of 2010, the concentration of CO2 is actually 50% higher than what it was in the 1800s, which was just before the Industrial Revolution. So just if you don't know, the Industrial Revolution was something that happened in the 1800s, and it was major changes that were involved in our agriculture, our manufacturing, our mining, things like transport, as well as technology, and it had a huge impact on our socioeconomic and cultural practices of the time. So obviously we were producing a lot more factories and really changing the way that we did things. And since then, our carbon dioxide is 50% higher since then. Methane, another gas that we're going to look at. Methane is produced primarily through cow farts. That's the biggest way it's produced. And you'll often hear people saying that it's better for the environment to eat kangaroo meat than it is to eat beef. And this is one of the reasons why, is that our beef and cattle industry, dairy, cattle as well, produce vast amounts of methane, which is then sent up into the atmosphere. Another greenhouse gas, nitrous oxide. You probably would be more common for you to call it laughing gas. So if you've ever been to the dentist, you would have experienced nitrous oxide. Nitrous oxide is also used to enhance performance in fast cars and that kind of stuff as well. So ozone, now that's found on the outer layer of our atmosphere, and ozone is responsible for stopping electromagnetic radiation coming through into the Earth, which is potentially harmful. So ozone plays quite an important role. And last, we have our water vapor as well, which makes up our atmosphere. Okay, so let's get started. The sun shines down onto the Earth, producing heat energy, or I'll refer to them as rays throughout the video as well. So these rays, or heat energy, some of it is actually absorbed by our Earth. The stuff, or the heat energy, that is not absorbed, is reflected back out towards the atmosphere, towards space. That heat energy then gets trapped in our atmosphere, which is made up of those greenhouse gases. So that heat energy gets trapped, but some heat energy does make it through and is released into space. So this heat energy that's trapped just disperses throughout our atmosphere in all sorts of different directions. So this heat here, being trapped in the atmosphere, is what helps to keep the temperature of our Earth at a temperature that is livable and balanced. So what's happening as a result of our human activities? So we've got our factories here, cars, all releasing greenhouse gases or fossil fuels into the atmosphere. And as we discussed before, CO2 is the predominant greenhouse gas that's being released. So this greenhouse gas is being released into the atmosphere. It's being absorbed by the atmosphere, and the atmosphere is, as you can see here, getting thicker with gas, with these excess greenhouse gases that we're producing. So as I said before, some greenhouse gases are produced naturally and they're naturally occurring in the atmosphere, but we're adding to those by producing our own CO2 and other greenhouse gases. So then let's have a look what happens when our light energy shines down. So here we've got our light energy shining down being reflected back up, just like we looked at before. But as you can see here, there's a lot more heat energy that's being trapped in our Earth's atmosphere. There's only a little bit that's being released into space. So you can see as a direct result of this, more heat energy being trapped, the Earth is going to get hotter. So what we can recap on, the greenhouse effect has always been there, and it's what helps to keep Earth's temperature at balance. With more greenhouse gases being released into the air and into the atmosphere, it's becoming thicker with these excess gases, and it's trapping heat in rather than letting it escape out into space. So this is why scientists are concerned about global warming, and if there's evidence to show that if we continue to release greenhouse gases in the quantity that we're releasing them at the moment into the atmosphere, it will continue to get worse. The atmosphere will trap more heat in, and it will result in the Earth getting hotter. Now, they don't know for sure what the effects are going to be in the future. They don't know how much hotter the Earth will get and all the effects that are on it, but they do know if we keep releasing greenhouse gases the way that we are, it will enhance the greenhouse effect. So, and we'll get an amplified warming. So there you have it, an introduction to our greenhouse effect. Now, before we go on, I just have a couple of quick questions which you'll be required to answer at the end of this video. So feel free to write them down in your book or type them up on the computer when you finish listening to this. Question number 1 is, why are excess greenhouse gases bad for the environment? Question 2. What issues could we face if all of the heat energy gets trapped in the Earth's atmosphere and none of it is released out into space? That question again. What issues could we face if all of the heat energy gets trapped into the Earth's atmosphere and none of it is released into space? Last question. What do you think the term climate refugees means, and how might they come about as a direct result of the enhanced greenhouse effect? That question again. What do you think the term climate refugees means, and how might they have come about as a result of the enhanced greenhouse effect?